You ever get that feeling way out in the middle of nowhere like the universe is about to pull some stupid prank on you just to see how you'll react? Because let me tell you, when two wannabe cops pulled up to my mountain cabin demanding $50 for landscaping violations, I just about laughed in their faces until they tried to put hands on me. That's when things got interesting real quick. 3 hours earlier, while I was sipping my first coffee, taking in that crisp, piney air that's supposed to spell retirement, the real drama was already brewing in a polished little HOA office miles down the mountain. Linda Patterson Queen Bee herself was briefing her muscle like some dime store general. She slid a manila folder across her desk, her war plans as she probably thought of them, and laid out the latest target. Cabin 47. New guy, way out on the edge. Easy pickings, right? Standard script, standard $50 fee. Confidence is everything, she told her goons Brad and Steve as she handed them the carefully faked violation forms. Mountain properties are perfect. No neighbors, no witnesses. People just want to cooperate and move on. Yeah, they'd gotten away with it 25 times before. Folks too polite, too tired, or too trusting to question that gold HOA president nameplate and the county knockoff paperwork. Linda would call each victim herself, thanking them for being a good neighbor, making sure nobody even thought about complaining. That's how she kept her little racket running, just enough real authority to hide the scam. But see, there's a trick to picking victims. And Linda never accounted for a retired Marine with a bad habit of reading the rulebook twice. By the time Brad and Steve showed up at my place, strutting out of their white pickup in matching blue vests, HOA enforcement stitched across their backs, they were already counting the cash. "Good morning, sir," Brad barked, all authority and none of the brains. "We're here on direct orders from President Patterson regarding a serious landscaping violation." Steve flashed a badge, shoved a clipboard in my face, started talking about immediate remediation and a $50 fee, or else things would escalate to county authorities. Maybe that would work on most people, but I'd read those bylaws cover to cover. Their violation code L12. Ours started with R1. Now maybe I didn't get every detail in the core, but I sure as hell know the difference between a real code and something made up on the fly. So I kept my face flat, asked, "Can you show me where this appears in the rules?" Suddenly, the whole show started to wobble. Brad's mouth twitched. Steve's hand drifted toward his back pocket. I swear you could see the panic start to leak out of their pores. They'd never dealt with anybody who wanted receipts, just folks who wanted to avoid trouble. Brad fumbled with his phone, called Linda on speaker, and she came on smooth as ever. "Mr. Mitchell, this is just a routine matter. I'm sure we can resolve it quickly. You wouldn't want to be the difficult neighbor, would you?" She was good, I'll give her that, talking circles, never answering a direct question. But when I pressed her, "Why's the code wrong? Where's this expanded authority in the actual rules?" she hesitated. 4 seconds of dead air. That's when I knew I had her. Her tone changed. She tried a threat wrapped in neighborly advice. "Penalties accumulate daily. You really ought to pay now for your own good. You know that trick, try to scare you into acting before you can think. Maybe it works on folks who haven't spent 3 tours making life and death calls with rounds cracking overhead. But manufactured urgency, that's child's play." So I said, "Let's see the actual documentation. I'd like to review these protocols before I pay anything." Which is basically like tossing a grenade into her plans. Linda snapped. "Brad, Steve, detain this individual for obstruction. I'll handle the paperwork." Detain. As if these two clowns were real law enforcement and I was some threat to the HOA peace. That's the thing about bullies, they always go too far. Brad stepped forward. Big guy, not as big as he thought, tried to grab my arm. Let's just say I let the training kick in. Twist, drop, pivot. He hit the porch before he knew what happened. Steve lunged more mad than smart, and I guided him right into the log wall face first. Both of them sprawled gasping, and I barely broke a sweat. I fished the fake badges and Linda's instruction sheet out of their pockets while she was still yelling on the phone. "Ms. Patterson, your people just attempted an illegal detention and assault. I'm calling 911. Silence on the line, then her breathing got rough. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Oh, but she was about to. Gunnery Sergeant James Mitchell, United States Marine Corps, retired, I told her, calm as a lake before dawn. You just ordered an assault on a decorated veteran, and you're about to have real law enforcement up here, not your dollar store rent-a-cops. Neighbors heard the commotion, Mrs. Clark down the hill filming on her phone, the couple across the road whispering from their porch. It was turning into a show, and Linda's private little scam was getting a whole lot more public by the minute. I called 911, explained the situation. 2 impersonators, fake badges, attempted kidnapping evidence in hand. Dispatcher was calm, efficient, asked if anyone was injured, if I needed immediate backup. Situation's under control, ma'am. But this is part of a bigger fraud. You'll want a detective for this one. Meanwhile, Linda was back on the line now, full-on desperate. This is all a misunderstanding. These men work for me. I'm the HOA president. Every word dug her deeper. Ma'am, you just ordered an illegal detention on a recorded line. I said, that's conspiracy impersonation federal charges. Brad and Steve, to their credit, looked like they were about to be sick. We didn't know, Brad muttered. It was supposed to be easy, Steve whispered, dabbing his nose. Sirens echoed up the road. 3 cruisers' lights flashing boxed in the property like a SWAT team. Real cops, professional, calm, no swagger. Sergeant Thompson took the lead. Let's hear from everyone, he said. I handed him the fake badges, Linda's instruction sheet. Laid out the story clean, no drama. Thompson glanced at the paperwork, shook his head. These aren't credentials. The shield's wrong. Serial numbers are bogus. This is fraud. Linda pulled up white Mercedes, hair a mess, trying to get ahead of the story. She strutted over, still playing community leader. This man assaulted my personnel, refuses to comply with standards. But Thompson was unflappable. Ma'am, this document details unauthorized fee collection. Fake credentials. That's fraud impersonation, not a neighborly dispute. Then came the twist recognition. James Mitchell, 3rd Marines, Fallujah, 2004. Thompson straightened, saluted. Medal of Honor, right? And just like that, Linda's manufactured authority crumbled in the face of real service, real respect. Phones caught every second. Mrs. Clark's video went viral before the afternoon was out. Thompson put Brad and Steve in cuffs. Based on this evidence, we're documenting felony charges, fraud, impersonation, conspiracy, kidnapping. Linda tried to cut a deal. I'll refund everyone, resigned, just let me go. But the mountain had already woken up. Mrs. Clark stepped forward. She scammed me for snow removal. The couple across the road brought paperwork, $200 this year. More neighbors came out sharing stories, bank statements, their own moments of humiliation. Even the young dad with a toddler piped up $80 for landscaping. It turned into a confession line. Linda's explanations were pathetic. I was protecting property values, maintaining standards. Nobody bought it. When Mrs. Clark did the math, 30 families, 2 years, $60 a pop. Folks started realizing this wasn't just petty crime. This was organized theft, plain and simple. Dispatch radioed in similar complaints in other communities. Turns out Linda might not have been the only one running this kind of show, but she was about to be the first to go down hard. Detective Martinez arrived no-nonsense, sharp as a tack, and with a forensics team in tow. They tore through Linda's office, found the split bank accounts, the list of targeted victims, the training materials on how to pressure neighbors. It was a goldmine for prosecutors. Fast forward 6 months. Linda's in an orange jumpsuit sitting in a packed courtroom while the DA lays it out for the jury. This isn't community management. This is systematic theft and manipulation. Linda's defense tried to spin it just overzealous management, good intentions. The jury wasn't having any of it. The verdict was swift. 4 years in state prison, all assets seized for restitution. The 2 hired goons got lighter sentences for cooperating. That gold nameplate on Linda's desk auctioned off to help pay back her victims. But you know what stuck with me most? It wasn't the money or the drama or even the moment those fake cops realized they'd picked the wrong porch. It was watching a community come together, swapping stories, comparing wounds, realizing they'd been played not because they were dumb, but because they trusted the wrong person. And from that day on, things changed up here. New leadership, new rules, real transparency. Folks got together for meetings, not just to gripe, but to actually look out for one another. I helped run security seminars, how to spot a scam, what real authority looks like. That mountain air got a little lighter. Here's the thing, I thought I'd left the fight behind when I retired. Turns out communities need watching out for just as much as anything overseas. Maybe more, because sometimes the real enemy's the one you trust. So let me ask you, what would you do if someone with fake authority tried to push you around? Stand your ground or pay up just to avoid trouble? Have you ever dealt with someone like Linda hiding behind a badge they didn't earn? Drop your story or your thoughts in the comments. Justice isn't just what happens in court, it's what happens when regular people stand together and say, "Not today."